Well, it's been a fascinating day's cricket today that ends with Australia effectively 296 for 4 after Ravi Jadeja took those couple of wickets at the end. But let's break the game down session by session. And the first session today, Australia completely bottled it. That was a session they produced 5 wicket taking chances, only took 1 wicket. 3 dropped catches, a no ball happening, getting an LBW off the no ball. These are rookie mistakes, confusion between the keeper and the first slip. This is something you don't expect at even a club level. To see it at the ultimate test was unacceptable from Australia's side. And then Pat Cummins, I don't know what's happening with the poor guy, because this is the second time in this test the ball on which he's gotten a wicket has been the ball on which he's overstepped the line. And these missed opportunities cost Australia 30-40 runs at a minimum. They could have gotten into the tail much earlier, gotten rid of Rahane much earlier. But really, I think Australia, they bottled the chance to get India out for 250, 260. And instead, 296, I think India would definitely have taken that at the start of the day. Let's talk a bit about India's batting. The main issue for them has been no batter crossed 15 apart from only 3 players. And matter of fact, those 3 players, they went on to contribute a lot. But the fact that their players couldn't even get starts, I don't know if this suggests a technical issue or they're not being able to adjust from white ball IPL to red ball test cricket. But either ways, Rahane played a fantabulous knock. I think credit to him. He got a couple of lives there, obviously the LBW, the dropped catch, but still 89 in those conditions and a pretty healthy strike rate as well. A very valuable contribution from Rahane that may just safeguard his place in the test side for maybe another year or so. Shardul Thakur, what more needs to be said about the man? I think Thakur is one of those players where stats never fully tell the story for Thakur. You look at his average, you look at his strike rate, whatever you look at it, bowling or batting either ways. What he does is, he may not get a lot of runs, he may not get a lot of wickets, but he always does it at the most crucial of times, and that's exactly what we saw today. The courage he had, getting hit all over the body, getting hit on his gloves, but he kept standing there, scored those 51 runs, and made sure India got to a relatively respectable total. Ravi Jadeja batted pretty well as well yesterday, got India to a relatively good position. And 296 means they're trailing by 170. Australia also, I think, would have taken that, but they would for sure have preferred to get India out for that 250, 240 total that they completely bottled. Let's talk a bit about the second session as well. So it started off with that fabulous catch by Cam Green. I don't know what Australia talked about in the break, but maybe they were so angry at dropping 3 catches that Cam Green took 1 catch that maybe made up for all those 3 catches. What a dive that was, what a catch of Ajinkya Rahane to get rid of a really frustrating innings for Australia. And after that, India simply, the tail enders didn't really wag too much, got out for 296. And Australia lost the early wicket of Warner to Siraj. Let's talk a bit about the new ball spells by Siraj and Shami. My word, hardly a run given. What Australia had in the first 14 overs today was the lowest run rate throughout the test match. First 14 overs, only 24 runs for the loss of 2 wickets. And let me tell you, Australia were not out of the woods at that point, because they got a 170 run lead. Had Australia been bowled out for, say, sub 150 in this innings, which is still a theoretical possibility, you'll back India to win the game. So they weren't out of the woods yet. 24 for 2, things looking a little bit iffy there. And that is when Steve Smith came in. I think if you look at the scorecard, it'll say Smith scored 30-40 runs. That doesn't do justice to what he did. Smith changed the momentum of the game. When they were 24 for 2 in 14 overs, struggling to lay bat on ball, LaBusChagne is struggling, Smith came, and in the next 10 overs, they got 44 runs. Completely caused a momentum shift in the game and scored a run rate of 4.4 runs per over. LaBusChagne upped the ante as well. And even when Smith got out, then Head got out, they had LaBusChagne and they knew they were at a relatively respectable total, 120 for 4. So what's going to go on for tomorrow? Day 4, very important day. Couple of things I think. One is Australia need to keep the number 250 in their head. Less than 250 and India are right back in the game. More than 250 and it's going to be really difficult for India to chase down anything they may throw. Australia will probably want to bat about half the day, maybe a session and a half, and give India those 140 overs, bat them out or go and try to chase 450. And Australia will really back themselves in that position. But let's talk a little bit about the conditions as well, because when Australia's second innings started, it was really difficult to bat. So there was a lot of grip on the pitch, some odd bounce here and there. Siraj got a few bounces to zip around. When Jadeja came on, he was getting the ball to turn. And you'll notice that in the first innings, India brought on Jadeja around the 40th over. Today they brought him around the 20th over because Rohit Sharma recognized the conditions are different, the spinner will be able to contribute more, and guess what happened? He got 2 wickets. That's great captaincy right there. So Australia will also take note of that, and they'll know maybe they should bring in Lyon early whenever they get out. I think as for Australia, the key is now simply Marnus, LABUSCHAGNE. If LABUSCHAGNE can get 70-80, they'll be in a really good position to win this test match. If LABUSCHAGNE falls early, they get out for around 200, that's still going to be a little bit iffy for Australia, although still they will indeed have the advantage. Let's talk about what Australia's bowling strategy can be as well. Because today you might say that, oh, they let India off the hook, they let India get to 290 when they should have been 240 all out. I don't think there's anything they need to change with their bowling strategy. Because the fact that India scored extra runs was not due to poor strategy from Australia. It was due to poor execution, it was due to dropped catches, it was due to unlucky no balls. Otherwise, India would easily have been 220, 230 all out. So the strategy I think is fine. The way they're approaching the game is still pretty good. About Australia's batting, Warner got out early, which was a shame. Khwaja, both innings he's gotten out, playing outside the off stump. Is that a technical weakness? Is that something he's going to have to work on? Well, that is something for them to consider as well. But fundamentally, I think when you look at the game in the big picture, today was India's best day by a big margin. They won the first session, they won the last session, and I'd probably say drew the second session with Australia. So they are still in with a shot at the ICC WTC trophy. Remember, the minimum they need is to draw the match. Australia, of course, will now be targeting an outright win, get the trophy, don't let it be a shared trophy. And I think it's going to be quite a contest on day 4. The key now is going to be Marnus, LABUSCHAGNE against probably Ravi Jadeja, who was looking really venomous in the final session today. So I think those are the key matchups now to look forward to for a day 4 that is sure to be extremely exciting. I was your host, Hasan Malik. You are watching the Cricketing Hour. Thanks for tuning in. Allah Hafiz.